Hey, today we are going to be talking about how to easily boost your metabolism after 50. Hey, Sophie here. Lovely to see you. So here I am in my office, having just read a wonderful new study that has come out, which really shows you how you can boost your metabolism. Literally improve your caloric burn, which is tantamount to the same thing, boost your metabolism, even if you are over 50 years old. And why this is so significant, and I'll link to the study underneath this video, but why this is so significant is that I think that many women after the age of 45, that's when everything starts changing, doesn't it? Our hormones start changing then when we go into perimenopause, and actually all of our physiology changes quite significantly as we head into menopause, we're in menopause and beyond. Everything does change. We can't get away from that. It is a fact, an inescapable fact. And that's why so many women who come to me go, Sophie, you know what? I'm trying everything, but I just can't lose those last 10 pounds. I can't shift them, or the first 60 or 80 pounds. Just no can do. What's wrong with me? And very often, women who come to me are over the age of 40, 45 or 50. And it does get increasingly difficult as you get older. I'm not going to lie. But the really good news is that there is something that you can do about it. And this new study shows that it really truly is about what you eat, what you eat, not how much you eat, interestingly, but it's about what you eat. So I'm going to get into that in a moment. This is going to be a short video. Before I do, I want to point out that if you're really struggling with how you feel about yourself right now, not just with weight loss, but you've lost your confidence, you've lost your sense of self, maybe you lost that behind years ago, maybe, weight gain is part of that, just feeling sort of fed up and defeated, then do check out my free masterclass where I sort of go over the 5 shifts that my clients make to really address these issues. So I'm going to link to that masterclass underneath this video. But let's get into now this study, and I'm going to make it so simple for you that you honestly don't even need to look at this study. So what the study found, cliff notes here, is that if you, particularly, why I'm saying over 50 is that the participants in this study actually were, I think their average age was like 52 or 54 or somewhere around there. So the participants in the study were put on a vegan, so half of them, randomized controlled study. I think there was something like over 240 participants, but half of them were put on a low-fat vegan diet. And the control group, the others, were just carried on eating as usual. But interestingly, even the control group, and very often the control group in a study will start eating a little bit healthier just because they're in a study. So that's an interesting variable to take into account. But basically, they were put on this diet for the vegan low-fat diet for 16 weeks. And what was so significant to me in the results of this study was not just the weight loss, which absolutely was there, and this is along the lines of what I help my clients to do. We get into it in a little bit more detail and really sort of drill down into exactly what to eat, but we definitely are along the lines of, I would say, I don't love the word vegan because vegan can be really unhealthy, a vegan diet, but I say a whole food plant-based diet, which is extremely low in fat. But what was significant was that after every single meal, the caloric burn was greatly increased by eating a whole food plant-based, in this case, in this study, they call it vegan, low-fat diet. So that was amazing to me. It wasn't just like, oh, go on a low-fat vegan diet and you'll lose weight, because often we want to know, well, how? So from this study, we know the actual internal mechanisms, because it was really studied that caloric burn, how metabolism was boosted, but the caloric burn after a meal was significantly increased. So that's really interesting, I think, particularly again for women over 50, where our metabolisms do slow down. So if you were to say to me, Sophie, how do I boost my metabolism? How do I increase my metabolism over the age of 50? Well, we now have the proof. It's there in a study, exactly how you can boost your metabolism without, so often I see, because I'm kind of in this weight loss space, I'm a weight loss specialist, so I often see, all this nonsense, these kind of miracle, like take this pill or this powder or this whatever it is to boost your metabolism. And it's absolute nonsense. It really is nonsense for the most part, in fact, for every part. And how simple is that? That you can just change the way you eat. Now, you may go, well, that's all very well, Sophie, but how do I do that? And how do I do it in a way that is really delicious and that I can stick to it and it is really low fat? And what does low fat really mean? And does that mean no oils? That's a whole nother subject. And again, do check out my masterclass underneath this video, because I go into that in a little bit more detail. I think what's also really significant about this study, and a takeaway for you who are watching, is that the participants in the study that were on the low-fat vegan diet also increased their carbohydrate intake. Shocker. Shocker. And when I say carbohydrate intake, that would be complex carbs. Not refined carbs, obviously, but complex carbs, such as, your root vegetables, your sweet potatoes, your really healthy, whole, intact grains, your legumes, your starches, in that kind. They increased them. They did not decrease their carb intake. So that is very, very significant. So there's two takeaways for you right there. A low-fat vegan diet, that means a low-fat diet that has absolutely no animal foods, animal-derived foods in it at all. Okay, I would add to that whole food. So because, as I said, vegan can be full of processed foods, and also full of, I think it was 75% of their diet was complex carbs. 75%. And in a day and age where all we hear in weight loss is, low carb cycling, cut carbs, keto, and everything else, it's quite refreshing to actually have it in a study, to have it on paper in a really reliable study. So that's really the takeaway that I wanted to give you in this video, that you can actually boost your metabolism. You can increase your caloric burn after eating every single meal. And although in the study it was a small amount, I think it was by something like 19% cumulatively after every meal, and then you count up how many meals in a week and how many meals in a month, when you sort of do the math and put all that together, it is a significant caloric burn. So I really hope that helps. I hope that gives you a little bit of a takeaway. And there are many other things that you can do as well on top of that to sort of boost your metabolism in terms of, exercise and other little tips and tricks and things that you can do that are sort of really natural and don't require the use of some sort of supplement or pill or some weird sort of miracle cure. Everything that I teach and the way that I coach really works with your body's natural biology to get the results you want, because it really is truly about it is about disease prevention. And finally, the other thing that's just lovely about this study is that it is really about disease prevention too. And what they did study also was they studied the intracellular lipid change, which is very, very interesting. So in layman's terms, as we get older, we get a fat buildup in our muscle cells and in our liver cells. So much so actually that many people who don't even know it have fatty liver disease. And I think it's like 30 to 40% of the population actually have fatty liver disease. And this is just, when your adipose tissue, as is shown in this study, can only store so much fat. And when you have exceeded that store, then the fat, the extra fat in your diet, will be stored in your muscles and in your liver. And this is what fatty liver disease is. And the really worrying thing about the extra fat being stored in your muscles is that this can lead to prediabetes and eventually to diabetes. So this is a little bit more complicated. I'll go into this maybe in another video about prediabetes and diabetes and how fat, more so than sugar intake, can really affect your outcome and can treat these conditions, even reverse them. But just for the purposes of this particular study, it was found that being on a low-fat vegan diet could actually significantly decrease the lipid buildup in your muscle cells and in your liver cells. So it's disease prevention. It's win-win. So that's it from me today. Do check out some of my other videos on this topic. As a board-certified nutritionist, I dig into all kinds of different areas of nutrition, and as a weight loss specialist, many of my videos are also about weight loss, and I really sort of dial in to the problems and the challenges that we face as women over 45 and particularly over 50, because that's when, as I said at the beginning of this video, things really change. So do check out some of my other videos, and I will see you next time.